Precipitation. You may not know this word, but I can guarantee that you've experienced it before. It's always been a part of our lives, whether it be in the form of rain, snow, or even hail. But it's begun to change. Actually, it's been changing for about 100 years already. Areas of the world have been receiving more or less rain than average every year, and that amount of rain each year seems to continue to change. The main causes for these changes are known as climate change and global warming. For those who don't know, climate change can be defined simply as shifts in temperatures and, more importantly, shifts in weather patterns. Global warming can be defined as the warming of Earth's surface, mainly due to human activities that we do every day. As temperatures increase because of global warming, climate change occurs, which changes the rest of the world along with the temperatures. These issues are not only connected with each other, but are both creating varying effects all around the globe. Areas like the southern US are facing droughts because of the lack of water, for both drinking and for croplands, while areas like the northern US are experiencing floods because of the abundance of water, potentially damaging infrastructure. Now, let's take a look at a statistic created by the EPA, also known as the Environmental Protection Agency, that represents these changes themselves across about 100 years. Here we can see this data, which shows every single year, starting from 1901 to 2023, having changes in the amount of precipitation worldwide. Even though a good portion of years barely have changes in terms of the inches of precipitation, some years are seen to have a massive increase or decrease in the average precipitation. For example, 2010 had a higher average by 1.39 inches, while 2023 had a lower average by 1.82 inches. With this, we can see that as time passes, the more different precipitation patterns become from the regular average. Meaning, if the heating of the earth and changes in weather patterns continues as it is or gets even worse, there will be an even greater change in the temperatures we are experiencing and the amount of precipitation we are getting. As these issues become worse, the need to come up and act on solutions is dire. Some solutions that have been presented are lowering or entirely stopping our burning of fossil fuels, having better forestry management, becoming more energy efficient, and transitioning to cleaner, renewable energy. However, since those solutions are on the larger scale and will take much more time to pull off, to do your own part, you can instead choose to bike, walk, or take public transportation instead of driving everywhere yourself. And you can also use less energy by reducing your heating and cooling usage. You can even spread awareness so that more people know that this is actually happening and something to be worried about. With these small but effective solutions, you too can help in stopping the changing of precipitation patterns worldwide.
Thank you, Victor, for that stellar performance that I don't think my set has the quality for. Well, I think that about covers it. Yeah? Nothing else. Nothing at all. Hello? Yes? Uh-huh. What do you mean? Well, I guess I found my set. It has come to my attention that the aforementioned climate change by my colleague actually has other side effects. Outside of having an effect on the perspiration cycles, climate change also has allowed for the expansion of invasive species. What are invasive species? Well, invasive species are introduced species who damage their new environment, typically by their rapid spread and lack of predators. Species like the northern snakehead, the old world climbing fern, the cane toad, those are invasive species. It is important to note that not every introduced species will harm its environment. There are some that will not really impact it in a meaningfully negative way. Take, for example, the bell pepper, or the tomato. Those are introduced species that don't cause any damage to their new environment. As for how global warming and climate change affect the spread of invasive species, well, as my colleague has most formally put it, global warming makes typically colder areas warmer and hot areas even hotter, in turn allowing for colder areas to be more habitable for animals, plants, and bacteria who typically thrive in warmer temperatures. Take, for example, the mountain pine beetle, which, as shown by this graph, has been expanding way beyond what it originally was supposed to be. Its death rate was within the first year of its lifespan was at 98%. Yet, that percentage has significantly decreased because of the fact that their environment has become more habitable for them. Another example of this is the lionfish. Their original introduction into the Americas were small, insignificant even. Yet, over time, due to their lack of predators and lack of any sort of competition with a very fast reproduction rate, they were allowed to spread like wildfire. And this graph shows that they have spread closer to the equator, meaning that they are more accustomed to warmer temperatures, which by proxy would mean that when the globe starts to warm up even more, that would allow lionfish to migrate to even newer environments, which would in turn make them more damaging to environmental biodiversity. How could we solve this problem, you might ask? Well, some solutions are more aggressive than others, but they are manageable nonetheless. To manage some invasive species spreading, you could always try to, Another could be to avoid bringing anything that could inhabit an invasive species or a species that could reproduce en masse without any restriction altogether. Yet, that undermines the problem. What are we going to do about global warming? The most abundant greenhouse gas that causes global warming is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is the main part of the greenhouse gases. And to reduce our emissions would be to find alternative sources of transport, like my colleague has previously stated. It would also mean to avoid using aerosol-based products, because it would damage the very thing that we're trying to fix. This concludes our PSA. Have a great rest of your day.